All right, this is OneLastMidnight. Welcome back to another episode of Valheim. In this episode, we're going to look at how to get into the Iron Age. So I've done a video on the Stone Age, and then also I've done a video on the Bronze Age, and this is the third video in this series walking through the game. Now, if you've watched both of those, you'll notice that I've gone from a small house to a relatively slightly larger house, and I've also got a little dock over here. I had to increase the house size because as you're working through the Bronze Age, you're going to wind up creating fermenters and other items like expanding out the forge and putting down more portals. So I needed a little bit more room in my longhouse. I've also put up some protection, if you notice, around my little home. And when the events happened, I have a little bit of protection for my house. Now, during the Bronze Age, you should have been collecting copper, ore, and tin and converting it into bronze and working your way through upgrading your material. I mean, that grind is real. Getting ore and bringing it back, whether it be on a cart or on a boat, does take time. But once you've collected enough copper and tin and made a ton of bronze, you should have gone through and not only made the bronze armor for yourself, but also have upgraded all of your bronze weapons. At this point in time in the game, you can get your forge up to a level 3 forge, which would allow you to upgrade your bronze helmet and your bronze armor to level 3, as well as the weapons that you're using in bronze up to level 3. And you should have been able to get your tools up and any other tools that you might have had up to level 3 as well. You also could have gotten and you should have gotten your fine bow all the way up to level 4. If you had put down all of the items that you needed for the workbench, which you can see I've got every single item that I can have right now at this moment in time associated to the workbench, which brings my workbench up to level 4. Okay, with all that said, we need to go to the swamp. That's the only place that you find iron, and luckily when we were battling the Elder, I happened to find a swamp area. So we're going to sail back over there, find a decent place to settle down, build a little temporary house, and then we're going to go through the process of getting iron. Make sure before you leave to get in the boat to go to the swamp that you have a portal on this side and that you tag it as swamp. Make sure you have all the appropriate items. Make sure you're bringing the key to the crypts for the swamp. Make sure you've got food. Make sure you've got some arrows. If you've made mead, make mead. Before you go in the swamp, you should absolutely make poison resistance mead. If you've got health potions, bring those along with you. Make sure that your armor is up and your weapons are up to the highest level that they can be, and make sure that you're bringing the items to make that portal for the return trip home. Now, your swamp could be anywhere. The maps are procedurally generated. Unfortunately, my swamp is a little bit of a boat ride away, but take a journey to wherever the swamp is closest for you. When coming to the swamp for the first time, what you're really looking for is a sliver of land where the biomes change. So whether that be the dark forest, whether that be the meadows, somewhere where you can build in a slightly protected area and not necessarily inside of the swamp itself, because the swamp is packed, filled with creatures. But as you're scanning the land, look for things like off in the distance, just past this house, I can see a crypt. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a crypt because that is where we're going to get our iron. Luckily on my mini-map, just up ahead, I can see that it looks like we're coming into a meadows area, which would be a good place for a little base so that we can protect ourselves, be able to repair our items, and get the rest buff when we need it coming in and out of the swamp. You gotta be careful when building close to the swamp because swamp creatures can hear you chopping around trees and doing all kinds of stuff, and they'll come looking for you. As you can see, we've got some Draugr that have come out to play. All right, after you have your little house built and you put down the workbenches that you need and also a bed for a spawning point, maybe some cooking stations if you're going to cook some stuff, some chests to store some items, and then also you've placed down your portal and tagged it with swamp so that you can get back to your main base. it is time to actually go into the swamp. Swamp is a super dangerous place, so go in there slowly because the battle is real. Remember to bring your hoe with you so you can fill in that swamp ground. It reduces on getting leeches appearing and also keeps your feet dry. And your ultimate goal is this. This is a crypt, and you get into the crypt with the crypt key that you got from Elder. And this will allow you to then turn around and go in and find iron. Crypts are filled with all kinds of baddies, so make sure that you pay attention to what's going on. Always remember that you could stick down a fire inside of crypts. So make sure you do that so you can keep your resting buff active. You'll find all kinds of great stuff inside of the crypt, including ancient bark, which you can harvest from trees outside in the swamp, as well as treasure and even poison arrows. Any new item you find will unlock recipes. Most of the time. Your main focus is this muddy scrap pile. So get out your trusty pick and start hammering away. Inside of the muddy scrap pile, you'll find scrap iron. You can also find surtlings in the swamp, which actually drop coal and sometimes surtling cores. There are also wraiths in the swamp, which drop chains, which unlock new items. But the other thing you should be looking for, which can be found sometimes inside of the crypts and then also outside of the crypts, is the location to Bonemass. So once you find that, make sure that you do click on it so that you can unlock the location of Bonemass on your map. Try to stay in the swamp as long as you can and gather as much ore as you can, because the downside is while you have a portal that goes back to your house, you cannot transport the ore via the portal. You're going to have to load up your boat back to your base to be able to start processing the iron. Once you process your first little piece of iron and you pick it up, you're going to unlock a bunch of new recipes. Those recipes include your new iron armor, as well as iron weapons and iron tools. On top of that, you will have unlocked a bunch of new improvements for your crafting stations, taking your crafting stations to a whole new level. Like with getting bronze, iron is a grind. My recommendation at this point in time is to craft all of your iron equipment. Make sure you craft your iron armor, your iron tools, iron weapons. Upgrade your forge and your workbench to your highest level. Try to then turn around and upgrade any of your weapons and armor to the next level before you go take on Bonemass. So it's time to go off and fight Bonemass. Make sure you grab 10 wither bones and go to your Bonemass location. When you get to your Bonemass location, throw in the wither bones and wait for the battle of your life. It's pretty tough. Especially since they've kind of increased it and made it harder. Bonemass has a bunch of ads that get added throughout the battle. He's got a poison thing that he winds up doing off. It's pretty bad. It's pretty tough. So just keep working your way through Bonemass, battle as best as you possibly can, survive as long as you can, and hopefully you can wind up killing him off. When you finally do kill Bonemass off, he winds up dropping off not only his trophy, but then also the wishbone. And once you have the wishbone, you are now ready to go on to the Silver Age. Once you get back to your home, make sure you go over to the trophy area and drop off Bonemass's trophy. Now, Bonemass has an excellent buff. You have resistance to blunt, resistance to slash, and resistance to pierce, and it is worth having on and activating. But all right, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on working your way through the Iron Age. Don't give up. It's tough. It is a little bit of a grind, but you can do it. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Love to have you in the community. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, you can find the links in the description below. And make sure to hit that notification bell. That way you know when I go live and when I post new videos. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.